Good afternoon, and welcome to our illustrious panel on NFTs and Ordinals. I am Eric Guthrie. I am the moderator for this panel for the Black Blockchain Summit. And I will be I will have the panelists introduce themselves, but first a bit about me. Again, Eric Guthrie. I am an attorney in the DC area where I practice cryptocurrency and blockchain law. I'm the author of the book Blockchain or Die, Amazon #1 bestseller 7 times. And I do a lot of global training and public speaking in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. I also, for this topic, have an NFT that I'm rolling out in a few weeks, so look out for that. But enough about me. Let's get to our panel. I am going to start with Ryan Cooper, and then after that, I'm going to have Ryan, you do popcorn to the next person. So Ryan, you're up.
All right, thank you, Eric. My name is Ryan Coopdeville Cooper. I am a blockchain consultant. I'm also a musician, and my field of expertise is NFTs, more specifically music NFTs. I am a certified blockchain expert via the Blockchain Council, which is based out of India. I run my own blockchain consulting business, DeVille Crypto Solutions, based out of Bowie, Maryland, here in the United States of Maryland. And yeah, that's my background. Just a musician. I do a lot of things in crypto. I'm a graduate of Bowie State University. Shout out to Bowie State,
TCU.
Bowie. And yeah, I do a lot of different things. And you can look me up. I'll post my website information later, but I've been around for a minute. I've actually spoke at the Black Blockchain Summit every year since 2018. So let's go.
That's it. Thank you, Ryan. Davida, how do you go next?
All right, my name is Davi Benjamin. I am a Ordinals builder for the last year, or actually a little bit more. I've been building dynamic Ordinals on Bitcoin. It's also been a breakthrough for me to create a protocol called BRC 333, which is about creating ordinals that change over time and are interactive. Been having a lot of fun with that. I'm also the lead author of a book called The Meta Web, which posits that Web 4 is the space above the web page, and that if we build a meta layer over the web page that is Web3 enabled, it will bring Web3 to every web page. Plus, it will allow people, interactions, and information to have a space or a presence above content on web pages.
That's great, David. I can't wait to read your book. Next, we'll go to Bio.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bayo Kusanya. I'm the CEO and co-founder of NPC Labs. I'm calling today from Bitcoin Futurist Conference in Toronto, but I'm usually based near New York City. And what we do at NPC Labs is we tokenize physical assets and products. Primarily, we help creatives, studios, IP-driven businesses, both in Web3 and Web2, develop a phygital product. These products are tokenized on chain via an NFC chip or an RFID tag. You tap your phone to it, you can pull up this digital portal. They'll have a collectible that you can claim as your proof of ownership and as your ticket into that ecosystem. We've also attached other sorts of activities in there that you can do, from content, exclusive content that's token gated, AR experiences. We've included AI avatars too that can represent, different likenesses from artists, NFTs, animated characters. And we're constantly adding different things, loyalty programs to help bridge that gap between the digital and physical divide. I've been in the space since 2017. I've also been collecting since 2021 digital art, and that got me into collecting physical art. So I'm all about helping brands understand how to utilize Web3 in their current workflows.
Excellent. Thank you, Bio. We appreciate that. This is an esteemed panel, so I'm looking forward to moderating this panel, and I hope you're looking forward to what the panelists have to say as well. I'm going to start with you, David. I want you to define for the people listening what an NFT is, but also more importantly, what an ordinal is, because a lot of folks in this space know about NFTs, but they have no clue what an ordinal is. So I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go down the panel list.
Okay, so an NFT is a non-fungible token. That essentially means that every single NFT is unique. You may have a collection of NFTs. Every single NFT within that collection is a unique image generally. I'm not going to go too much deeper into NFTs. I'll jump into ordinals and say that ordinals are essentially NFTs that are on Bitcoin, but because of how they're constructed and they actually have some really special characteristics that potentially make them even more valuable for future applications that go beyond art. And with ordinals, you essentially have a set of data that is resident on a Satoshi. A Satoshi is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. So every single Bitcoin, you can separate it into 100 million pieces. Each one of those is called a Satoshi. And ordinal theory puts them in order and enables information up to 4 megabytes of information to be on each inscription on a Satoshi. Satoshis can have multiple inscriptions. So essentially, we have this possibility to put up to 4 megabytes of data in each batch on a single Satoshi, and that can be done as many times as we want. This is very powerful because other NFTs, they're generally pointers from basically an on-chain pointer to information that's stored off-chain. And that's usually IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, or Arweave. And that's not to say there aren't any NFTs that are stored on Ethereum or on Solana, but that's the majority of them are stored off-chain. Now, there are some other things about ordinals, but we could probably pick up a little bit later because that was a big chunk right there.
Very helpful, David. I appreciate your excellence in this area. Ryan or Bio, who wants to go next?
I'll chime in. Yeah. Just to piggyback off what David said, I think David explained it very well. Like I said, my area of expertise is NFTs, not necessarily ordinals. And I wasn't sure, David, if we wanted to also bring up runes, because runes is also in that same area as ordinals, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure if we wanted if you wanted to explain to the crowd about runes for just maybe 30 seconds, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. So runes are a sister protocol to ordinals. The founder of ordinals, the guy who came up with ordinal theory, was looking at what happened with his protocol, the Oracle protocol. People built new protocols on top of it, meta protocols. One was called BRC-20, which was a fungible token protocol, and it caused incredible congestion. Bitcoin fees went up by 100-fold at different points. That was a spike, but nevertheless, it made people a little uncomfortable. And so he came up with a new protocol called Runes that had the characteristics that made it have much less impact. It's a fungible token, meme tokens for the most part right now on Bitcoin.
So it seems to me, and this is the question for any one of the three of you, you have NFTs, you have ordinals, you have runes, and any other protocol that's being built in this NFT space here. Do you think there's a danger of this splintering more and more and it becoming such a splintered category that they lose effectiveness or they even lose, investor appeal?
I can answer from my perspective. We aim to be agnostic, so we aim to develop wherever there's existing NFT ecosystems. And what that means for us is um, we create cross-platform compatibility at the dApp level. So like the application that are being built on top of these technologies, I think is where, you'll find a lot of, VC money going, right? So I think it's important that the builders in the space are prepared for interoperability, essentially. So that's what we try and do. But I do think, at the protocol layer, it's kind of up to each individual retail investor and each individual investor to kind of pick their ecosystems. But I think at the development layer, these applications that are being built on top of these ecosystems should do better to make it easier for anybody that's coming into this ecosystem to deploy, right? And kind of, make it cross-platform so that they don't have to worry about some of these abstractions.
Excellent. That's very informative. Thank you for that, Bayot. Now, we've seen that some of these changes with the Ordinals and runes are based on, and I think David was mentioning this earlier, based on the market need, that they found a coding or programming need to actually evolve this, and that's why we have now Ordinals and runes. What do you think is the future of Ordinals and runes and NFTs now? I mean, will they be able to operate together, or will there be separation where one may be more involved with one industry or another, or one is more gaming, one is more art? What are your thoughts on that? David, I'll go back to you.
I think ordinals have a really interesting future in that you can build anything on them. They're composable and modular. You can put code, you can put images, audio, text, HTML, whatever you want can go on ordinals. So it is basically limited simply by our imagination what we can build, and also the size. You can only go up to 4 megabytes, and also there's the cost constraints as well. All those things are the main limitations. So I'm imagining in the future, you're going to have ordinal applications. You're going to have the use of ordinals as namespaces. You're going to have, which is already possible right now, but it's kind of in its infancy at the moment, with especially outside the Bitcoin ecosystem. I like the potential futures of ordinals because it's so programmable, and the fact that it's composable modular, meaning that anything that's already been inscribed on the Bitcoin blockchain can be pulled into the ordinal that you're building now. So let's say there's 1,000 lines of code that's a function that will display something, and then there's another image, and there's a video here. You can bring them all into your ordinal that you're building right now with 3 lines of code. So you have this possibility of really leveraging on what's already been put on chain, which is very powerful.
So you actually raised something in my head that, as an attorney, I've always thought that'd be a real fascinating part of the NFT space, and that's fractionalized NFTs. Now, for those of you that don't know, NFTs can be split up into extremely small iterations, and it can be sold, in those individual iterations, which raises a whole host of legal issues, which I won't get to in this conversation. My question for the panel is, are there fractionalized ordinals or fractionalized runes yet? If not, do you see it coming?
Ordinals are not normally fractional, but there's so much activity on the layer 2 level on Bitcoin. There's about 50 to 60 projects that are coming about, and the number of them have the idea to fractionalize different kinds of Bitcoin native assets. Runes, they can be programmed to be fractional. So it's really just how they have initially been set up. I'm not sure if it's important. Well, from a standpoint of a rune, I'm speaking about the individual rune token, which is fungible. They're all the same. That can have as many decimal points as you want, basically. But I'm not sure if anyone is thinking about fractionalizing beyond what's already been built in for runes, but I'm certain that it will happen with ordinals in the L2 space. And one of the important L2s I think that seems to be surging in interest in and is about to go live. I think they're in testnet right now. It's called Fractal Bitcoin. And I'm paying attention to that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And by the way, for the viewers, L2 means is layer 2, which is on top of the layer 1 blockchain. In case they didn't know what L2 means. I'm going to go to Ryan next. So Ryan, you said that you do music and NFTs.
Yeah, I was gonna piggyback right off of what David was saying. David, if I'm not mistaken, I think runes in a way are fractionalized, because I just purchased my first rune about a month ago. Shout out to Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan. He actually dropped a rune called For the Children. And this was my first time doing it. So I set up a Unisat wallet for those in the room. It's just one of the many Bitcoin wallets that you can use. And I also set up, what's the name of the wallet, David, that starts with a W? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's a Bitcoin.
W. There's Unisat, there's Xverse.
Xverse, I'm sorry, Xverse. That's the one I'm referring to. So for anyone listening, the two wallets that I was using was a Unisat Bitcoin wallet and then the Xverse wallet. But yeah, from my understanding, runes are fractionalized because people were getting airdropped these runes, and it was millions of runes in this collection, and yeah, they were all the same. If they weren't individual like traits like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, where one has a hat and the other has laser eyes, it wasn't like that. Everything was equal, but that was how I think it worked that way, correct?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think what I was saying was, if you can set it up so that not only can they be sold as individual units, like a 1, 2, 3, 10,000, a million, but some of them can be set up so that you can buy and sell them in 1.1 or 1.11 or 1.111. It just depends on how it's set up. I personally am not. I'm not really sure how useful the pushing out the fractionalization will be, beyond maybe a couple of decimals. But who knows? If it gets really popular, I guess it could be.
So Ryan, I'm going to go back
I'd
to
love
you.
to add.
Okay, good, Bio. Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in terms of fractionalization, by using the ordinal as like the asset, you can use like an asset-backed sort of system where you're selling tokens that are backed by one ordinal, right? So then those tokens represent individual pieces of that asset. It's like backing something with gold, right? So that's one of the ways in which we've explored that for different physical assets. It's like we'll take like a fine art piece and then we'll sell tokens against that piece, right? But you could do the same thing with any asset, digital or physical. So a very expensive ordinal, for example, you could almost have that in a vault and then share a token that represents partial ownership.
Excellent. Okay, so and that actually takes me to my next question, which is kind of the background with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, that became a huge NFT hit. It became a multi-million dollar success. And it became kind of like a pop culture reference for NFTs. It's in movies, it's been on Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton. So it really did take a huge step into the NFT space and make it much more known in pop culture. Do you know of any collections like that happening in the ordinal or the rune space? And if so, which one do you guys like?
I like to start off with my answer. I've been following the music NFT space very, very closely. I'm very well known in the space, and I know a lot of the top selling music NFT artists, and these artists are like published artists and Billboard. They tour. They actually have engaging communities on Discord. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. It's so many things I know about the music NFT space. I don't know where to really begin. But if there's any project I want to highlight, I would like to highlight music NFT artist Violetta Zeroni. She's a good friend of mine, and her project Moonshot, as well as there was another project under a different name, but she had a very successful music NFT/NFT project. It sold millions. It made her a millionaire. And she's just a really good person. She has an engaging community. She also just launched a Bitcoin ordinal, if I'm not mistaken, and as well as maybe a room. But I know for a fact she launched an ordinal. And her father's a Disney animator, so her father actually drew all of the artwork. She's a musician, so she put all of her original music that's on her record label. Everything is under her. She's not using a middleman. She's making all of her money using Web3. And I think, her project was really successful. I can't really expand upon it more. I could probably provide the link later. But yeah, her project was very successful. She's very engaged in the community. Like I said, she travels, and her project was on a Bitcoin ordinal, and it was very successful.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. David or Bayo?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. There are a number of highly successful collections like the Pizza Ninjas and the Quantum Cats. I think Pizza Ninjas and probably Quantum Cats are both over zero point 0.2 Bitcoin, which is about $15,000. Both of them have somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 supply. So that's quite a large market value there for those. Then Runestone was the ordinal that was airdropped to all the OG ordinals people. Basically, if you had a wallet with 3 art-based or image-based ordinals in it, you'd get a runestone. So that got distributed to about, I think, 111,000 wallets or 112,000 wallets. That one is probably over a couple thousand, or it was up to about 5,000 to 7,000. I can't remember where it peaked, but it since then it's dropped. But everyone who received that particular one got a dog go to the moon rune. Actually, a large, almost 1 million dog go to the moon runes, which is a meme coin on the rune standard. It's really slated to be the biggest one. The thought here is that Bitcoin is the biggest blockchain, the most popular, most value. It should have the biggest meme coin. That's the logic. It doesn't mean it's necessarily true, but there's a lot of people that are rallying around it. They call it the dog army, and they want to make that dog go to the moon.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Bayo, you're up next. I see. Now, okay. So we'll go on to the next question, which is regarding NFTs and how they've been operating so far, right? What do you think are the next steps for Ordinals? Now, and let me probably say it this way. NFTs kind of started out as, gaming and photography and art and music, but now it's getting much more advanced in what they do. So for example, there are the functional NFTs, which they have certain things attached to them that have function, tickets, uh, events to invitations to events, information, books, what have you. Do you see that happening with ordinals and runes as well? What are your thoughts on that? I'll start with David.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the infancy of ordinals, and as I was saying before, they're modular and composable. So there's really it's a blue sky what's possible in the future. Some of the things that are already gaining some activity are the namespace. So this notion that you can, in a decentralized way, actually inscribe a identifier for a namespace. So that could be, for example, Eric.BTC or Ryan.Sats or @ShiftShaper. That's me, ShiftShaper. So I actually own this little tiny inscription, this little tiny ordinal that's @ShiftShaper. Now, that means I own this as a universal, potentially universal handle, and I can own it the rest of my life. I can pass it on to my descendants, to my children, and that particular identifier could be within our family or whoever we sell it to for all of posterity. Will it be worth anything? Who knows? But as different applications adopt namespaces, the namespaces will in fact become valuable. And if they adopt that universal handle, then it could be pretty interesting across the board in terms of an opportunity to get a more or less like a domain, but it's one that lasts forever and you don't have to pay annual fees. So that's one area. Another one is real world assets. I've heard a lot of people talking about how we can use ordinals to essentially convey ownership or establish ownership of off-chain or real world assets. There's just this possibility that we can be using ordinals to have very sophisticated applications in the future. I think even business applications. Right now, people are doing the games, like you were saying before. Gaming is pretty big in terms of alternative ordinal formats. And then the other thing, of course, ordinals are going to be huge in the metaverse. There's actually a namespace called bitmap, which is simply a block number. There's been almost 900,000 blocks in Bitcoin so far, and there's a namespace .bitmap, so block number .bitmap, that becomes the addressing for the universal metaverse on Bitcoin, essentially. And there's been a fair amount of steam behind bitmap over time. There's another one that's coming about called Uniworld. So that's an example of how these namespace assets are actually turning into metaverse assets. And I'm also seeing there's the what is it? BRC 420, which is metaverse assets, which are actually inscriptions that are architected such that they're 3D and are intended to be traded and potentially worn or used in other ways within metaverse.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you so much. Bayo, I'm going to jump to you. What are your thoughts on functional ordinals or functional runes? Like we have functional NFTs, and you can attach information or tickets or event invites to those NFTs. What do you see with the future with ordinals or runes being functional as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I personally believe that that sort of activity should exist at a layer above especially when we're dealing with something like ordinals. Ordinals are on Bitcoin's chain, and Bitcoin to me has always, or at least for my modern time in the space, a store of value, right? So you almost don't want things to change. But that being said, if you can build applications that abstract those changes, right, then you will probably have the security of the actual, protocol, but the dynamicness of an application. I've seen in other NFT spaces the idea of having dynamic NFTs. So NFTs where the utility over time evolves and the metadata evolves based off of events that are happening in the world. Like let's say a team wins a championship and the NFT changes its metadata based off of those, that activity. So I am bullish on that in other chains. When it comes to ordinals, I think I'm like many people very protective of the Bitcoin ordinal and the Bitcoin protocol because of what it means to the crypto space in general. So that's kind of my personal feedback.
No, thank you, Bio. Okay, so we are down to our final minutes. So I'm going to give you each 30 seconds to give me the big prediction for in the NFTs, ordinals, or runes. I'm going to start with you, Ryan. You got 30 seconds.
All right. So I honestly think it's going to be video games, Web3 gaming. I just actually got the first crypto game to be on PlayStation 5 called Off the Grid. I'm a beta tester right now, so I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but it's definitely going to be gaming. I think that these Bitcoin ordinals and runes are going to be able to token gate you into different projects. Just to explain what token gating is, it's like I have my ticket to get in the event, token gate. But if you have the NFT, the ordinal, the rune, you can get into access into said online event or on in real life event. So I think video gaming is going to be where Bitcoin ordinals really take off. The main thing is that it's got to have a good user interface. So if people can just pull the phone out, install the app, set their wallet up and scan it, if it's user friendly, it's not complicated, it's not scam proof, I think that's going to be the way. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. David, 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with Ryan. I think gaming is going to be one of the important ways to bring people to the ordinal market. And also I would add in metaverse and metaverse gaming. Those are going to be huge. I will say that a lot of that isn't going to happen in this bull run. I believe that ordinals and Bitcoin are going to be dominant in this particular bull run. And I say that because this is the first time that ordinals have actually gone through this period. So they're new and there's a lot of hype around them. And I'm imagining that that's going to lead to some really big increases in valuations of some of these ordinals in the next 6 months.
From David, folks. All right, thank you. Bio, bring us home. 30 seconds. What's your prediction?
So I'm bullish on ordinals as a store of value. Applications built on top of ordinals using things like token gating, things like utility in different ecosystems. So if you have the ordinal, you're almost like in a VIP tier. And then also linking ordinals to real world assets, right? Like that's kind of where we exist in the MPC Labs world, where we're trying to provide real world utility for digital assets. So it could be as simple as having this ordinal gets you into this building or into this concert. And it could be as complex as The ordinal represents ownership in like a home or represents ownership in a business. So yeah, we want to create that link so that the digital asset is backed by some real world utility, which adds to its overall utility and value.
Excellent. Thank you, Bayo. Okay, so that was our panel. So Ryan, David, Bayo, thank you so much for being an excellent panel. We hope everyone that watched learned something from this. I sure did. And I think that the information that they gave us can definitely help us become more empowered in the blockchain, the NFT, the ordinal, and the rune space. So I am Eric Guthrie, closing this panel out. I want to thank Blockchain Summit for having us as this panel, and thank Sinclair for being the excellent leader in this space. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your conference.